Let me tell you something. Life doesn't always announce what's going to take you down. It doesn't come with red lights, sirens, or warning labels.
No.
The most dangerous enemy you'll ever face. It moves in silence. It doesn't slam the door. It creeps in, quietly. It smiles, it nods, and before you know it, it owns you. This enemy. It's the voice that tells you, you've got time. It's the lie that says, you're doing fine, when deep down, you know you're not. It's the extra hour you waste scrolling, the days you say, I'll start tomorrow, the nights you lie awake thinking you're not good enough, but never saying it out loud. That's the silent killer. It's not failure that ruins people. It's comfort. It's the feeling of almost starting that dream, almost speaking the truth, almost chasing purpose. You don't see your dreams dying in explosions. You watch them rot slowly. Not with action, but with inaction. And the worst part, you feel it happening. Every time you ignore the tug in your gut. Every time you let fear talk you out of it. Every time you scroll past your purpose. That's the real murder scene. Not on the battlefield, not in the courtroom, but in the soul of the person who decided to wait just one more day. You think you've got forever. Let me break the news: time doesn't owe you anything. It's not promised, it's rented. And the price? Action, discipline, courage. You can either be the assassin of your own future or the architect of your legacy. That silent killer, it feeds on hesitation. It feasts on fear. It survives every time you choose to stay silent when your voice was needed. Every time you hide your greatness to fit in. Every time you forget who you were born to be. But it doesn't end there. You see, you've got another voice inside you. Quieter, but stronger. The one that says, get up. The one that whispers, you're better than this. The one that's been buried under excuses, waiting for you to silence the killer and wake up the warrior. So the question is not, will life be hard? It's, will you answer when your greatness calls? The battle isn't out there, it's in here. The real war is between who you are and who you settle to be. Because silence doesn't just kill dreams, it buries truth, it buries passion, it buries purpose. And if you don't fight for your future, nobody will. You've got one shot at this. Silence the killer and speak with your life. The most dangerous enemy is the one you can't see coming. It doesn't wear a mask or carry a weapon. It doesn't kick down your door or shout in your face. It moves silently, slowly, almost politely. It shows up in the spaces you don't protect, in the routines you no longer question, in the thoughts you've allowed to live rent-free in your mind. It grows in comfort, it thrives in delay, and it destroys in silence. This enemy doesn't announce itself. It waits, and it watches. And by the time you feel its presence, it has already built a home inside you. It shows up as procrastination, but it's more than that. It shows up as comfort, but it's more deadly than any hardship. It looks like ordinary habits, like harmless distractions, like small compromises. But it's not harmless, because it is quietly robbing you of the fire that once made you unstoppable. It doesn't kill with a blow, it kills with time. With every second you doubt yourself, every minute you delay the decision, every hour you choose what's easy over what's right. That's how this enemy wins. Not with force, but with suggestion. Not with violence, but with permission. Your permission. This enemy is doubt in disguise. It's the whisper that tells you you're not ready. It's the feeling that you're not good enough. It's the belief that someone else will do it better, faster, louder. It's subtle. It's clever. It knows you better than you know yourself because it studies your patterns. It learns your fears. It memorizes your habits. And it waits for the moments when your guard is down. That's when it strikes. Not with pain, but with peace. The kind of peace that lulls you into mediocrity, that convinces you success is for others, that tells you survival is enough. You think you're fine. That's the scariest part. You think life is stable. You think you're doing okay. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'm just tired. It's not that bad. And in those little justifications, in those small delays, the enemy builds. It sets up camp in your comfort zone. It decorates your excuses. It convinces you that this is all there is. And before you know it, you've been living with the enemy, feeding it, protecting it, giving it space to grow inside your life. The enemy doesn't hate you. That would be too obvious. No, it loves you. It tells you what you want to hear. It wraps you in validation. It makes you believe that playing small is being safe, that dreaming big is dangerous, that taking risk is reckless. It teaches you to be afraid of your own power. And once you start believing that, once you let those lies become truth, it doesn't have to fight you anymore. You'll fight yourself. But what makes this enemy so dangerous is that it's patient. It doesn't need to take you down today. It can wait 10 years. It can wait until you've given up on the vision you once had, until you're tired, bitter, beaten down, until you don't even remember what it felt like to be passionate, to be bold, to be hungry for more. And when that day comes, it doesn't have to kill your dreams. You'll bury them yourself. You might think your greatest enemy is out there. Circumstances, other people, failure. But the truth is, your greatest enemy is the one that walks beside you every day, that wears your face, that speaks in your voice, that sleeps in your mind, the one you never confront because it doesn't scare you. But it should, because the enemies that roar are the ones you prepare for. It's the ones that whisper you should fear most. If it shouted, you'd resist. If it attacked, you'd defend. But it doesn't. It smiles. It waits. It congratulates you for resting when you should be working. It tells you you're smart for hesitating, that you're wise for waiting. It wraps its chains in soft words, and before long, you stop calling them chains. You start calling them choices. That's the danger of what you can't see. It doesn't fight fair. It doesn't fight loud. And by the time you notice it, it's already won half the battle. The only question left is whether you'll wake up in time to stop it. Because the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face isn't the one who hates you. It's the one you've learned to live with. Complacency is comfort in disguise. It will take everything from you. It doesn't arrive with noise. It doesn't show up with a warning, and it doesn't kick the door down. It simply slides into your life, unnoticed, welcomed even. It feels like rest. It feels like peace. It feels like you finally made it. But underneath that calm exterior is a quiet thief. Complacency will not yell to get your attention. It will smile. It will nod. It will wait for you to slow down, to let your guard down, to stop chasing what once lit a fire in your soul. And by the time you realize it has you, it's already taken your edge, your hunger, your purpose. There was a time when you were hungry, when you had something to prove, when you looked at each day like a challenge and every obstacle like a stepping stone. You were relentless, not because someone told you to be, but because you knew there was more inside you. You chased growth. You craved progress. You demanded more of yourself. But then, you got a taste of success. A small win here, a little recognition there. And the moment you felt good enough, you stopped reaching. You started coasting. And complacency crept in wearing the mask of success. You see, people think failure is the enemy, but failure pushes you. Failure wakes you up. Complacency is worse. It's quiet. It's invisible. It's the slow decay of potential disguised as satisfaction. It tells you, you've done enough. It whispers, why keep pushing? It convinces you that staying where you are is smart, that taking your foot off the gas is what you deserve. And that's when it begins to rob you, not of what you've already achieved, but of everything you were still capable of becoming. It steals your ambition and calls it contentment. It takes your discipline and replaces it with distraction. It turns passion into routine and fire into embers. You stop growing, but you don't even notice, because life feels manageable, comfortable, predictable. And that's exactly where complacency wants you. Because people don't fight when they're comfortable. They don't question. They don't resist. They settle. And once you settle, you start to shrink. You don't shrink in size. You shrink in spirit, in courage, in self-belief. And that's the tragedy of complacency. It doesn't break you. It makes you break yourself. You stop waking up with urgency. You stop treating time like a gift. You stop dreaming big because you've accepted small. You tell yourself it's maturity. You call it balance. But deep down, you know you've lowered your standards. You've compromised on your vision. You've become okay with average, not because you want to, but because complacency convinced you that greatness is dangerous, unnecessary, or unrealistic. So you play it safe, you follow the pattern, and every day, the gap between who you are and who you could be gets wider. Complacency doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your purpose. It has one mission: to keep you exactly where you are. And it will do it gently, softly. It won't break the door down. It will slowly close the window of your potential while you watch from the couch. It will numb you with comfort. It will distract you with convenience. And by the time you wake up and realize what it's done, it may be too late, because talent fades without use, passion dies without fuel, vision blurs without clarity, and life, when unlived with intention, turns into a shadow of what it could have been. You might not even realize it's happening. That's the danger. Because from the outside, everything looks fine. You're not failing. You're not falling apart. You're just existing. But existing isn't living. Surviving isn't thriving. And being okay is not the goal. You weren't born to be comfortable. You were born to rise, to build, to push limits and rewrite what's possible. Complacency doesn't want that. It wants your potential buried. It wants your fire gone. It wants your story untold. If you let it in, it won't just take your drive. It will take your identity. Because when you stop striving, you forget who you are. You forget what you were made for. You stop seeing yourself as a creator of change, and you become a bystander in your own life. That's the cost of complacency. It doesn't just steal your time. It steals your reason, your fight, your edge, your hunger. And the tragedy is, you won't feel the loss until it's too deep, until the silence is louder than the dreams you once screamed for. Doubt doesn't shout, it whispers, and that's why it wins. It never kicks down the door or shows up in a panic. It creeps in slowly, quietly, like a breeze you didn't notice until it turned into a storm. It doesn't come dressed as fear or failure. It wears the clothes of reason, of caution, of logic. It wraps itself in words that sound smart, phrases that feel safe. Maybe not yet. You're not ready. What if it goes wrong? And before you know it, you start believing those whispers like they're the truth. It doesn't matter how big your dreams are, how clear your vision is, or how strong your passion burns. Doubt knows how to find a crack. It knows how to wait for that one weak moment, that one day where you're tired, where things didn't go as planned, where you feel alone. It doesn't attack your entire life. It picks at the corners. It questions the small things first, your voice, your choices, your worth. And slowly, those whispers turn into your inner dialogue. The voice of doubt becomes your own. And when that happens, it doesn't have to fight you anymore. You start fighting yourself. You second guess your steps. You hesitate when it's time to act. You choose silence when you were meant to speak. Doubt doesn't need to be loud, because its power lies in subtlety. It's the quiet pull that turns a confident stride into a hesitant shuffle. It's the invisible weight that sits on your chest when you're trying to make a bold move. It doesn't say, you'll fail. It just asks, what if? And that question left unanswered, grows. It grows roots, it spreads, and before you realize it, you're frozen in place, stuck in a cycle of thinking without doing. Doubt doesn't come for those with no potential. It comes hardest for the ones who have something real to lose. It doesn't whisper in the ears of the unmotivated. It targets the driven. It stalks the ones with vision. Because if it can make you question your worth, it doesn't have to touch your talent. If it can make you hesitate, it doesn't need to destroy your skill. Doubt's strategy is simple: slow you down until you stop yourself. Make you wait so long you start to believe waiting is wisdom. And once you buy into that lie, you start giving your power away. It's not always the loud battles that break us. Sometimes it's the ones we fight in silence. The ones where no one knows you're struggling, where everyone sees your smile, but inside, you're carrying the weight of every what if, every past mistake, every missed opportunity. Doubt knows how to speak to those moments. It tells you that failure is too painful to risk. That rejection is too heavy to carry again. That trying might hurt more than settling. And so you stay quiet, you stay still, and you slowly start disappearing from the life you were meant to live. But the truth is, doubt only wins when you listen. It only has power when you give it your attention. Because it can whisper all it wants, but whispers have no force unless you stop moving to hear them. The longer you wait, the louder they seem. But they're not loud, they're just close. They're close because you've given them space. You've made room for hesitation where there should have been action. You've welcomed the questions instead of answering them with your effort, your courage, your decision to keep going even when it doesn't feel perfect. You're not losing because you're not capable. You're not stuck because you're not talented. You're paused because you've allowed doubt to write part of your script. And the scariest part is, doubt is patient. It doesn't need to take over in a day. It just needs enough time to make you start believing less in yourself and more in your fears. It waits for your silence. It feeds on your hesitation. And it celebrates every time you shrink when you were meant to rise. You don't need a louder voice. You need a stronger will. You need to stop waiting for the fear to disappear and start showing up in spite of it. Because that whisper of doubt, it never goes away, but you can drown it out, not by shouting over it, but by doing the work, by taking the step, by proving moment after moment that your actions are louder than your fears. Doubt wins when you give it your ears, your time, your energy. Take them back. Turn the whisper into background noise. Let your purpose speak louder. Let your discipline speak louder. Let your life speak louder.